Liam is the godfather, as we call him. He's the creative strategist at Creative Launch, and he's a man who can turn nothing into something. So on this call, we have a person that shared the ad library. We'll be basically building in a bunch of ad concepts live, and then Liam will be editing it in real time as I'm going to be ideating it with you guys live. So in about 45 minutes, we should have like finished direct response ads created to show you how to kind of ideate, delegate, and then have ready to launch ads in your account. So this is the first time we're going to be trying to pull this off. We'll hope to get it right, but we've done it internally. This is just like a first for us with people. So we'll see how it goes.
Sounds exciting, man.
What's up, Sean?
Hey Phil, how's it going?
Doing well.
This is the last one
The last one.
of an epic series. No, looking forward to it.
Cool. I can just share my screen now so we kind of have something to watch.
Cool. Yeah, I do see some others are joining in the background here. And we'll get it kicked off.
Let me know if you guys can see that. Oh, cool. So yeah, we're gonna kind of do a workshop with Amaya. She submitted a ad library that Mateo kind of put out in the emails and school group, and yeah, we're just gonna build it up live. I've shared with Liam just this, like all we kind of are starting from are the same point. The website, the Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, ad library, and we're basically starting from zero to build this out in real time. And the objective, my hope is like, I know we're gonna be working with an e-com product, but I'm gonna try to do my best to just talk about like the foundational stuff rather than like the tactical, like little hacks. So you guys can come away with, if you wanted to run, come up with 7 concepts yourself, generate 50 new ads right now after the call. I'll show you how to use AI to expedite the process. And then you often hit a point where there's ideas that you want to do within these concepts, but you can't because of lack of content or lack of creators. So we'll show you how to leverage creators based on the content that's missing, and then just simplify and deconstruct ads, because I think there's a stigma where you can use AI to generate everything, but then there's overwhelming volume and you can't decide, or if you're starting from zero, you don't know where to start. So the goal is just simplifying it so you guys can just go, if you're doing lead gen or info or e-com, this is the same foundational process. So it's going to be visual and you can run this yourselves. So that's my hope for the end of this call. And then we'll do a Q&A towards the end, and throughout we'll do some raffles, but try to make it collaborative. Like I'll just kind of be orchestrating it, and then if you guys want to chime in and go for it. How's that sound?
Good to me. Let's get rocking and
Sounds
rolling.
good.
Cool. All right. So who's the face of the company? Tayana, is that you?
Yeah, that would be me.
All right. So you ready to go?
Yeah.
All right. So Liam, ready to go?
Yes,
I think you
sir.
already hopped on to Premiere. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna go for about 40 minutes right now, and then Liam's gonna start editing right now as well. And then we'll circle back in like 40, 45 minutes, and then he'll kind of give you the rationale of what he made and how he made it. So I'll kick off with what we call menu building, which is we got to pull the ingredients first. So all the ingredients that I don't have any Google Drive access. I don't have anything, but on social media, there's a ton of access that you guys have. So this is a website. It's called Amaya. I'm presuming, I guess to find the product I want to work with, I'm just gonna go to shop bestsellers, and I'm assuming it's one of these jewelry boxes, right? Cool. Is there a particular SKU that sells the most?
The cream jewelry box is probably the best selling, but usually combined with the caviar as well. So the jewelry boxes are pretty much like 80% of the business at the moment.
Cool. So just with that insight, I'm going to ignore everything else about the website, and I'm just going to start here. So I got my product page, and there's usually very limited content on a product page in terms of videos, usually just photos. So I have compiled like the Facebook, TikTok, ad library, YouTube videos, and Instagram. So I'll open that up. And in terms of the ingredients, like this is where we're going to be pulling from. There's YouTube videos, which I assume those two have product. There's a ton of Instagram videos. So there. With an ad library, there's some videos that we can pull. Sometimes they'd be edited, which is a little bit difficult to work with. TikTok usually will have the same as Instagram from what I've seen. So we can just kind of pick one platform. And then Facebook will have usually the same videos. I think I saw Instagram had the most posts, right, Tayona? So like that's what we're going to work with.
Yeah, I'd say that's the main platform we focus on.
Cool. So just to recap the kind of process, I'm going to work with deduction. So rather than all the things I'm going to include, I'm going to look at all the things I should ignore. So I have my 80% product. I have my 80% of the kind of channel I'm going to pull from. So I can just kind of delete everything else. And now I want to build kind of the menu. So just to kind of pause here, does it make sense what I just did in terms of scraping? Cool. All right. So I'm going a little bit fast because I want to make sure we hit the time, but to define the menu, I kind of asked the questions of like, what's the product? So we have Sophia jewelry box. And then to kind of find the target audience, I kind of come back to that because I want to go through the content first, and same with the messaging. So when kind of going through the content, I want to start kind of pulling in the value propositions. So like what is being shown in the video. It's kind of seeing what the words people are using. So let's see, I'm assuming there's a word like elegance or something of that nature. Tayana, how would you say people describe your product?
Yeah, like elegant is a good one, timeless, classy. Yeah, in that vein.
Just looking for keywords right now.
Yeah, vintage as well, like vintage inspired a lot of the pieces.
Okay, cool. So now I'm just gonna kind of look up for those keywords now as I keep going through the videos. So a lot of this is about the product, less about the benefits, it seems like. And kind of the way to get a higher converting ad is you want to invert the features to benefits, and that's how you start speaking to the consumer psychology. And right now what Liam's doing is he's scraping all these videos, and he's going to do the same thing that I'm doing, but he's going through transcriptions because there's people talking here. So not really getting much here. How would you say that people are using the product? Like what is a primary use case here? Why is it different?
So the primary use case is that a lot of people are looking to store the jewelry safely. So a lot of people who collect jewelry, it's sort of like all over the house. So we're trying to, with this solution, provide them a place where they can store everything and keep it for a lifetime. So yeah, that's pretty much, I'd say the main use case we have for the product.
Is there anything in particular that we're organizing, or everything that they have?
Yeah, so mainly, necklaces, rings, etc. So I'd say one of the key benefits, especially with things such as necklaces, is they tangle a lot or collect dust or they rust. So those are the things which are avoided by having the jewelry box itself.
And is it commonly known that jewelry will rust and it should be protected this way? Or is it not known in the industry for consumers?
Partially, I'd say jewelry collectors will know because they've experienced it, but not everyone well. So that's what we try and at least in our product description try and talk about, but we haven't communicated, I would say, that point as aggressively.
Got it, because I'm thinking right now with avoiding rust is typically jewelry would be costly. So if you can avoid the kind of depreciation of the asset, then you keep it for longer, right? So it's like longevity of the thing itself.
Correct.
Also guarantee lifetime. Trying to think how to word that. How would you word that? Do you think, like that one line that we just kind of said, like kind of preserving it, maybe preserving?
Yeah, but yeah, potentially. I mean, I think we go more with like just protecting your treasure, so protecting all the all of the jewelry which are costly, to protect them from any other scenarios such as tangling, etc. So yeah, I think we use more the word protect in this sense.
That's an interesting angle, protecting from tangling. Okay. So kind of, I'll hit a wall where I'm like, I don't really know where else to go. And we have a bank of ideas that we kind of pull from for kind of add concepts. And I'm gonna kind of bounce between the website and then the category banks. And since I have you as a resource, I'm just gonna kind of be asking you questions and it'll get me quicker through this process. But is there a particular material that, because a product is a bit pricey, maybe it's cheap for what it is, but is there a certain material that people are buying it for, or they are pulled towards? Or have you ever used material as a selling proposition?
Yeah, so the outer case is actually leather, so that's a part which we highlight. The front piece, so the piece which is a bit more caramel in color, that's a suede, and then we have a gold painted coin as well, so which is at the front of the jewelry box. So that's what we usually highlight as well.
So I'm going to use that. And again, in this process, there's no right or wrong answer. It's just ideas. And then we're going to consolidate those, and then we're going to consolidate it again. So we're just kind of dumping as many things that may not have been thought of before. In terms of product comparison, have you ever compared it? Or is there a comparison to what people are using currently?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I mean, we do have our competitors. But I would say or the feedback we get from a lot of customers is that they actually never thought that they needed one. So it's the first time they've actually come across the idea of storing the jewelry. So it's sort of like when they see the ad or when they see us, it kind of like motivates them to want to store their jewelry, which maybe they had never really thought of before.
And then how are they currently storing it? They're not storing it at all?
So either they'll have it in an open tray or in the little boxes they arrive, but it's never in one particular place. It's sort of like everywhere across their dresser or on trays. So it's like everything is mixed together, but not they can't find everything in one specific place, which is the offer which we give them.
Okay, so it's like an all-in-one place, all-in-one solution.
Exactly. So maybe also to explain the jewelry box itself, there's different segments within it. So there's a segment where you can store rings, necklaces, bracelets, etc. So that's sort of like kind of like the one solution for the different pieces they'll be collecting.
And do people ever, when things are tangled, is a problem that they oftentimes are in a rush when they want to grab the jewelry and then it's not easily accessible? Or what would you say the problem is with it being tangled?
Yeah, so I mean, I know this from traveling as well. So like that's one of the next products which we're developing. So when it comes to necklaces, they're quite fine in nature. So it's very easy, even just like by laying it down, that it starts tangling in each other. And then the issue is that it can break actually. So like the whole necklace can get destroyed. So that's a big problem, especially with necklaces, that they're quite delicate. So if they're mixed or just like get too much intertwined with other products, even other necklaces, they can easily break.
Got it. So it can almost be positioned as an insurance policy by protecting the thing as well.
Mhm.
Cool. All right. The function is typically what every product will have. That's usually just like features. So I think you kind of have, I can just quickly scroll on the website. I usually will find the functions on the product details on all the sites. You'll have like storage and you can break down. All founders and media buyers and copywriters are really good at writing like the functions, but then it's like the benefits is a part where you got to put a twist to it. But I can already see storage as a function. Use word protection, that's a function. See what else we got here. I wouldn't consider design a function, but let's see here. Organization, so I'm just going to quickly consolidate all those things into like a single angle now, because I'm already seeing a pattern of like function being a thing. And then within function, you had organization. And then we got protection. And then we got, does this lock in, or is it like pretty easy to kind of pull out and access?
It's detachable.
Okay, so then easy access would probably be a good function as well. And the purpose of this, so you guys know like where this will lead to, is the hardest part of kind of passing this over is the creative brief is the most difficult thing to communicate. And in order to effectively communicate a creative brief to an editor or strategist or graphic designer, is you want to break it down as simply as possible. Because right now we're just doing high level, and then we're going to get into like hook, body, intro. I know another thing we can do is benefits. We've kind of been talking about them. And a benefit of organization is clutter free. I'm just going to invert them. Then let's see here. Feel free to chime in if anyone has ideas for benefits or functions.
Peace of mind.
Thank you. Anyone else got anything? Maybe put that there. And maybe something along the lines of avoids rust. And then we'll do materials here as well. We had leather. We got suede, gold.
I
So
think there's something around the premium contents matching, the premium materials matching the content. So like the container is as high a quality as what's contained in it.
where would that be a whole different category, you think?
Potentially, yeah, but it does relate to the materials. I think the point about the materials is that it kind of elevates your collection. It matches your collection. But, yeah.
Okay, and then in terms of target audience, because I want to kind of circle back here, would you say, obviously it's women, so I'm just going to start there. Is there a certain age range, like 25 to 55 or 45 to 55 that are typically buying? Like, what would you say that range is?
Yeah, I think yeah, it's kind of like 25 to 35, 35 to 45. We kind of split them by two. So those are two, like 80% of our audience for sure, in those two ranges.
Obviously, probably appreciate luxury. They value organization. And you mentioned travel friendly. It seems like this was like a quick travel friendly accessory.
So not this one, it's the next product we're developing. So this one is more at home, more of an at-home product.
Gotcha. Cool. It's in value their time because you save a lot of time throughout the day by having this organized. So there's my persona that I want to go after. And then with messaging, it can be as broad as just like promo, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, or evergreen. But I'll call this like an evergreen angle. And I'm just going to use the words that you have here: timeless, elegance. You can use evergreen here. I'll start there. So what I wanted to define, there's like a bit of like a jumping process where you kind of have to define the product first, then you ideate ideas around the product, kind of creating your menu. We're still going to keep creating it, but you create the menu. Once you kind of understand the functions a little bit or the benefits or why people are buying, then you can kind of circle back to who's buying, why are they buying, remove men from this picture because they're not buying this particular product. And what this is kind of helping Liam as he's listening is like he's going to position the copy and who he shows in what ad where. Because if you said 55-year-olds were in there, he's going to only find clips for 55-year-olds. But if we're now in the 25 to 45 range, we don't want to show somebody who is out of the demographic because they won't resonate with that. Because people buy from people that they're like. And on the feel of like luxury and organization and valuing their time, how you position it, like the cuts, if it's like a less of a luxury product, you're going to do jumpy cuts, but if it's more premium, you don't want to make cuts as abrupt because you want it to flow, kind of like a massage for your brain. So these things, if Liam wasn't in the call, I'd have to articulate that differently, but we kind of know whenever the word luxury is used, you want to massage the brain because people appreciate that. Like if you're watching a Rolex commercial, you know, you don't want jump cuts or like random things happening. But if you're watching like a $59 info product that's going to be in your face, like just boom, rapid fire. So does that make sense so far?
I've got a quick question.
Yeah.
What happens when you use, if you have a cheaper product, let's say $59, and you actually are doing like smoother, longer transitions? Does that actually hurt your conversion rates if it's not paired up accurately?
So if you have a cheaper product with longer, say that again?
The transitions, if they're longer, like longer cuts, like so if you have a $59 product, but it looks like it belongs in a Rolex commercial, what would happen then? Would that
It depends on the clip. If the clip is not entertaining or engaging, then you'd want to cut it sooner. But if it is more raw and authentic and you need the cutoff, like you don't want to cut it, then you'd keep it playing. I'd have to see the clip to tell you like what I would do there, but oftentimes you want to remove the filler words because when people are talking, there's a lot of empty space. And if it just depends on the product and the message you're trying to sell. Really, like if you're doing a quick mashup of features, then you want to just get to the point. But if you're kind of talking about a single feature at a time, like if we're just making an ad around organization, I want the best clip that explains it most authentically. But if I'm doing like a a quick compilation on just functions, I want to get through it as much as possible. If that makes sense. Feel free if you want to share that in the school community, and I can just let you know how we like cut that up or maneuver it. Happy to do that. Cool. Liam, real quick, is there a particular one that, I know you're looking through the content, is there a particular from these angles, should we keep going, or have you found something that you can build through?
Yeah, so I'm kind of going for the elegance angle, and the overall narrative will just be about like keeping your jewelry all in one place and how it's kind of designed for quick jewelry selection. So I'm trying to create, I guess, a feel when you're watching this video, like a certain influencer putting on jewelry. Hopefully the viewer watches that and they're like, oh, that looks like a very, I guess, elegant morning routine. They would then buy this product so they could kind of get that experience. So I'd say elegance and like ease of access is what I'm kind of targeting right now.
So would that fall under like the function and benefits a little bit, kind of in the middle, you'd say?
I'd say mainly benefit focus is what I'm getting from these talking points. But yeah, some function in terms of like the amount of compartments inside. Like there's 8 compartments with the leather interior would be more on the function side.
Cool. And then so people visually see that, are you pulling like product demo and then the voiceovers of people talking?
Yes, a lot of slow shots of people pulling out the drawer to kind of give it that like massage your brain feel like you were talking about.
Cool.
And then like close-up product shots of like people stacking the rings and the ring rolls and things like that.
Cool. And one thing that usually is missing in organic posts is like that, again, the direct response element, like the copywriting spin. So again, Liam kind of already broke that down a bit more. So we're gonna kind of be on this end of things, but I'll kind of go into the brief now, because the brief is like when he's building it out. Now it's like, what are the functions, the pieces of the brief, and I'll break down what those mean right now. So, and then feel free to stop me if anything's confusing here, but this is how Liam's looking at the header right now. We break it down into puzzle pieces. The hook is the most important thing, and the premise of the hook is for us to identify who are you selling to, and that was the reason for identifying that target audience, that 25 to 45-year-old female who appreciates these things. How would you get their attention? If they're on Facebook, they're on Instagram, what are they looking at? What does their explore page look like? What do their recommended reels look like? Are they wanting faster jump cuts? Are they wanting slower cuts? And we want to think from their lens, and that's how we want to frame the hook. So the hook will be the most important thing. And people don't watch this, they don't watch your ad. So that massage for your brain is going to be probably more, it could be an ASMR style video where things are moving slowly. It could be a compilation of things stacking. And we're going to do this different hook iterations. So one thing that I think would work well, and Liam, we can just keep working on it, but I'm just going to speak out loud. Maybe one video with no people shown, and it's just a product compilation. Another one can be somebody talking, and we can test the variables of people in the video, product in the video, people and products in the video. You can do a split screen where the top is people, the bottom is product. And you can start mashing up these different ideas, but I'm curious to know, would people convert better than product, or would product convert better than people? Does that make sense? Tiana, any thoughts? Any feedback?
Yeah, no, we've tested obviously a lot of these angles. So I'd say usually for cold audiences, we tend to show the product without people. So you may see a hand or so, but it's more the aesthetic. And then When it comes to retargeting, it's the UGC style ads which tend to do the best. So the ones which show them the features, etc. So that's usually how we stack them up against each other.
Cool, thanks for sharing. And then once we've kind of identified the hook, and this is timeless for anything anyone is selling. So you can do this for any product across different industries. So once you define who you're selling to, you just want to start with the problem and really drill that in first before you just say, here's a product. And depending on where people are, if they're solution aware, problem aware, completely unaware of the product, you'll either tell the audience what the problem is, and that will work much better than giving them a solution to the problem. It just depends on where they are in the funnel. So first, who are you selling to? Then what problem are you solving? And then you introduce the product. What are you selling and why should they buy? And how you display that will be dependent on the existing content that you have. In this case, there's a bunch of product kind of demos. I don't know if there's too many reactions. I looked briefly, there weren't too many reactions. There was a couple testimonials. And then you can pull reviews from the website. And these are kind of the ingredients as to how you can convey what you're selling. That makes sense so far? And that'll usually be the longest section because this is where you have to kind of sell people. And you can sell them without selling them. It's more showing. And this would depend on how expensive the product is. If you're selling a high ticket $1,000 product, you probably want to show, you know, more social proof, more compilations, longer testimonials versus a more affordable product or a lower ticket product that can just get straight to the point and send people straight to the site. And once you've kind of defined who you're selling to, what the problem is, and what you're selling, you just want to always tell them what to do next. We've tested not putting any call to action at the end, and people literally just scroll to the next video. But if you tell people what to do next, they'll do it at a higher degree. So if that's, you know, check out the next video or click the link below. There's a reason YouTubers tell people to subscribe, and that's how they gain subscribers, because if you don't give someone the action, they won't actually do it. People are too literal. So based on that, I'm just going to quickly design a creator brief. I know Liam's kind of still digging into that, but let me see here. And then I'm going to kind of take this into AI and show you guys how to use AI to expedite this process. So I want to kind of introduce a problem of tired of. Does this happen at all? Like, do people miss earrings? Is that a common thing? Like losing earrings? I'm thinking of that because I'm wearing AirPods and I'm like, sometimes I'll lose my AirPod if I don't have it on me. But imagine if you don't have it in a box, you're going to lose the earrings too.
Yeah, it's pretty common. Instead of like, you know, how you lose one sock or you ask yourself where it went, that's quite common with jewelry.
Yeah. So I want to call out people, like if people have experienced that pain, they probably don't know a solution other than like, let me just organize it better. But I want to call out pains, like nothing about my product, more about universal issues people have that would be an ideal fit. And then since a product would be a box, you can either tell them what the problem is or give them a solution. I think here people have seen a jewelry box before. They just might have not seen the Sophia jewelry box. So maybe I'll just introduce it. But I want to show visually what the box is. And by showing kind of like a organized box, people can infer that the box is different than a traditional jewelry box. That's my hope with showing that earlier on. And then the body would be the key talking points. So that's where I want to pull from these pieces now. Like the body will kind of be combinations here. So It's like keep it in one place. If we can find a talking point for that, I'd love to do that. And then we got. Would you say that it helps people make decisions quicker by having the box organized? Like quicker decision making,
Yeah, yeah, 'cause
decision
they,
fatigue?
yeah, I agree, because they see everything in one spot, so takes away decision fatigue.
Notice I'm gonna try to just invert everything to be kind of benefits now. I want to mention like the feature or material now. I want to pull from like mention the leather. It says leather exterior and then suede interior and then gold ring. Cool. Then the last point is usually you want to end the kind of the product description with a guarantee, like why, what will the product kind of do here? So then, since it's made with durable materials, you just say it's like durable and long lasting. And then with the CTA, we can just say like, shop now today, something like that. That makes sense how we just kind of like to say that. I'll pause here. Any questions, thoughts?
Yeah. So based on, I'm trying to recap a little bit. Based on what do you see in the product page and some insights that you get from ads library, talking with brand owner, then you build a recipe, right? You build a recipe on the different elements that you're going to put on a high level perspective into the ad structure, right?
Correct.
So when you build the recipe, what will be the main, I don't want to say strategy, but what will be the main like action that you take in order to build that? Or it's just more like a broad approach of what you get from your previous research? I guess that the question is, do you have like a super strict process to building that recipe? Or it changes from brand to brand based on what you get from the research and market and all that stuff?
Yeah, there's a bit of like the structures, we want to keep it within this constraint. Like we're building them in puzzle pieces. So think of each piece as a different clip in the video. So one might be a product demo, one might be another product demo. Like how would I be able to articulate, like if I want to show tangled necklaces and missing earrings, maybe I won't actually have that clip that can show this. Maybe we're not even making the content. So that's where I want to start introducing, maybe I can use a headline banner that shows this with text to articulate what I want. If I want to show introducing the Sophia, sorry, I spelled this wrong, jewelry box, how can you do it this way? You can do an influencer explaining it. You can do a product shot explaining it. And I'm kind of going from the high level, like Liam, he'll share a screen when he's finished editing and he'll show you what he came up with. But what I'm trying to do is like, he's doing the same process that I'm doing. But the reason that it will click different for him is he's going through all the content where we're just going through all of like the kind of scraping and data analysis and research. And I can move a lot quicker if I'm not talking, but having Diana on the call helps me because I can just expedite the questions that I would have in my head. So,
Okay.
does that make sense a little bit?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Can you go back to step 2 in your screen?
Yes.
Because we have benefits, materials, functions, and you pretty much decide in the middle of the process which of those angles and talking points will be, right?
Yep.
Okay, so when I guess my question will be here, I kind of have the answer, but I want to dig a little bit deeper into why did you choose function, benefits, and materials and not something else?
Sure. So why did I pick these instead of kind of like these things here? Other possible categories. So like
Right.
unique selling.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
One, it's time, like to come up with ideas for function, benefits, and materials. It's very easy. I can just like quickly look at the product description, just pull this myself. Like I can just scan through the website and read the reviews and like see, like another angle could be gifting. That's a whole different function altogether. Gift for birthday, gift for anniversary, gift for wedding. It's just to kind of do that within the constraints of time. The easiest things always is how are people using it? How are people describing it? And what is it doing for people? Those are like the very easy things. To dig deeper into consumer psychology, then it's, yeah, like you can actually look at the reviews. And that's an important question that you asked, because all the answers that you need of why people are buying are here. It's the most neglected thing that people look at in the space. Like on one of the calls Lucas and I had a couple weeks ago, we were talking about going through call recordings for customers, and you can kind of just find the language, the vocabulary, what people are saying, how are they saying it. And oftentimes people try to come up with stuff when you can just see, are people calling it a jewelry box? What words are they using? Pretty, beautiful. And you want to use those words back to them. You don't want to come up with new words. So oftentimes there's two places you can see this, the reviews or in the videos. Liam is seeing exactly what these reviews will be. If you're watching an influencer or a customer review, you're going to hear how they're describing the product. It's this elegant, timeless box that da-da-da-da. And he's going to kind of pick apart the words and understand how they're doing it. And I can do the same thing while looking at this. So, does that answer your question, Lucas?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. Great
And
question.
which other categories do you have in that document on
Yeah.
the section? Because you have a bunch of, right?
Yeah, you can talk about like if it's a like say a coffee product or a supplement, you want to talk about the materials or rather the ingredients. If you have a physical product, you want to talk about the materials. If you have a product that has different flavors, like let's say a drink company, you want to talk about the flavors. That can be a whole different concept. Blue raspberry, lime, peach, lemonade. And then that would be here, blue raspberry, lime, peach, lemonade. And you can visually show each of those steps. So this would depend on the product.
Yeah.
I'll quickly, I know we're running a little bit low on time. I want to show you the AI stuff. I prepped it a little bit, but I'll have like, this is kind of how we would do it next, is once you kind of have, there's two use cases for it, for AI. Is once you have the creative brief kind of designed, this is a template that we use. We'll swap in, and again, I have not run this yet, but I would have like brand name, product name, and a brief description or one-liner. And then you would do a big description. And where I pulled this was here. So brand name was pulled from here. Brief description can either be here. That's where I pulled it from. And then the big description is pulled from here. Most companies have like a subheadline. That's your one-liner. And then the big description. That's the main one. And then I don't have the transcript with me, but what I would then do is, see if I can pull this up. I'll put this in the chat. I'll do a Loom video because I don't have it on me, this clip. But basically, it would, if you put in the transcript of what people are saying and you combine that with what the product description is, you can find the exact talking points to drill in the video. So then you're building the ad with like, I bought this product because of X, and then you have another person, you put that clip in. But it's confusing. We've never seen this process. So I'll make a Loom video and share that with you guys. What I can show you is the second part. of like the headline banner builder. I kind of did one of the clients we have, I wrote 67 headlines for them, and I kind of created a template like this is why you should buy this product, or I've never seen something like this before. And these are like these direct response, Dr. Squatch, V-Shred style headlines. And I've kind of modeled it off of them. And I say it like this. I say, I'm trying to create a headline banner copy for my ads. I'm attaching the product. Here's some examples. And then there are some provocative stuff here, and the AI won't run it because it's going to say the word nuts. And if you tell it, ignore the copy, and here's a structure I want. Short, punchy phrases, use numbers, say things like this is why, direct address to the reader, sometimes use emojis, and I can do that right now. So I'm just going to take this, copy it all. In this case, I'm using Claude. Just going to paste it like that. And then the final piece is I'm going to go back to that product page. I'm going to click Command A. So I selected the whole website. And now I'm going to click Command C. And then I'm going to go back to Claude and paste it. And you're going to see it's going to paste it like a separate item, like an artifact. And I'm putting it like this in brackets, examples and end examples. So it knows to only pull from there. And then it should launch it. And this will basically bypass like all the headlines that might have been like pretty artificial. And I don't know if there's anything that stands out here. Like this is a typical stuff you'll see on TikTok, like my accessories never look better. Protect your gems with this. No more tangled necklaces, here's how. And I usually like to pull on these things and kind of ask it to like rate stuff. So I think I had another thing here. No, I didn't. So I'll do something like this. Let's say I like that one. Sometimes I'll ask the system saying, how would you rate this hook? And it's going to give it to me out of like 10. So it'll be something like an 8 out of 10. And it's kind of pulling that framework from the structure that I created. Like, is it attention grabbing? Does it create curiosity? Does it address a common problem? And it'll tell you things why it's not good. Like 3 reasons why I'll never lose an earring again. And that can give you a whole bunch of ideas of like a new ad concept. 3 reasons why. All right, I'm gonna pause here. That makes sense at all, this process?
Yeah.
Tayana, does that make sense? This kind of like resonate a little bit? Any of these headline banners?
Yeah, no, I like them. I like them a lot. Definitely more angles than we thought of. So it's super helpful that you can use AI as well to generate more ideas.
Yeah, and the goal with this is, let's say I really like the 3 reasons why. You can say something like, and I want it just to give me anything on like 3 reasons why. And these might not be the best ones, but it can give you a new direction to look at your creator from. So yeah, I just kind of pull and I'll just like generate one list. I'll find one that I like. I'll ask it to rate it. And I'm not looking for an answer. I'm looking for why is it not rated higher? And in this case, it said 3 reasons why I'll never lose an earring again. And all it did was add like 3 reasons why instead of this is why. So I use that all the time for headline banners, just to kind of bypass and make my copywriting easier. And you just to do that for any product. So if I wanted to quickly like go into your rings, let's say want to come up with some copy real quick. Command A, C, and I'm going to go back in here and say, just put the product there. So same thing, I'm just asking for headline banners for the same, using the same structure for this product. And let's see what it comes up with. Again, this is a different product and we have to like go into like the psychology of why people are buying rings, but let's see here. You'll see that it's going to keep the structure and you can kind of just see what it does. And you can ask it to generate more, but I use this all the time and I'd recommend you guys do the same. Any thoughts, feedback, questions?
Any reason on why you decided to go with Claude instead of ChatGPT? Is there better outputs you find here?
Yeah, I think Claude has, in terms of how it spits out things, it's more logical. I haven't used the newer like ChatGPT 4.0. This was kind of pre that one, but it would just give me better written, more humanized content versus ChatGPT was very generalized. And I would just kind of A/B test the same prompts that I want across both. And Claude always delivers something that was never perfect, but closer to perfect, something that I can build on top of. Whereas ChatGPT, I'm like communicating to get the answer that I don't know I need or want. Claude kind of gives me like, if I got this result right now, like Liam can look at this right now, and as he's coming up with copy, he might just get inspired by one thing and just run with that. Well, I'll never lose an earring again. And it's less work than like continuously, drilling in this thing. That's my logical reason for it.
Awesome. And once you have these ideas, what's your take on this? Do you go straight, for example, you have 10 different headlines. You go straight to test those headlines, or you go to those headlines and you add your own magic, let's say. You tweak them a bit.
I tweak it, like kind of how we did here.
Yeah.
I like 3 reasons why I'll never lose an earring again, more than this is why I'll never lose an earring again. But if I'm speaking to a 25 to 45-year-old female who values luxury and time, will they understand this? If the answer is no, then I want to find something that will click with them. And I'm really just trying to always understand that demographic. Like Tiana said, it might be a 25 to 35 and a 45 to 55. Those are 2 different headlines for those people. And I would just kind of speak to them. What words are they using? Are they using the word earring? Are they using the word pendant? Are they using the word necklace? Like, how are they describing the product? And I would use that right back to them. And I would just tweak this to communicate that.
Awesome.
Cool. We're getting close to like the time to show, but let's see here. Any kind of last questions? Liam, how are you doing on time, by the way?
I'm just exporting it now, so just give me like 2 minutes.
Cool. So go for it, Lucas. What was your question?
Yeah. So all the different headlines that you add are proven headlines, right? Like you have spent a bunch of money on those headlines and you know that those headlines works, right? Or
Are
those?
you talking about these headlines here?
Yeah.
Not all of them. Some of them have. A lot of these are also pulled from the ad account of what was historically spending. So I pulled what worked in the past. I pulled what has been spending for brands like Ridge, and I would manually just kind of like pull it from top spending e-commerce brands, restructure it so I put my product in there instead of their product, and then I created my own framework, and then it kind of creates a structure from that. And that's just me analyzing what are people in the e-commerce space, how are they using more direct response to get people to click. Because you can say like the best jewelry box, but if no one's looking for a jewelry box, they're not going to click or want to watch. But if you reframe it to why it's in for them, what problem are you exposing? 3 reasons why how I stopped losing my earrings. Somebody who's losing their earrings will connect with that. Now they're hooked in. So that's a purpose of the headlines, is to do that.
Nice.
I'll share this with you guys too, like the framework, and you can have that and the whole structure, and you can just generate this. But anytime I switch different products, like you just plug and play the same thing, swap the product, and then it's going to give you some pretty good headlines. So anyone who's got like an agency with multiple brands, you can just keep it going, and it'll learn from kind of what you like and what you don't like on a single thread.
The other day, I was talking with a guy that has a similar process to this. He's got an agency and he spent like he's got like 8 figures in revenue over the past year or so with different brands. And his approach was super similar to this. The only difference is that he won a super specific output. So every example was separated for each industry. So he's got some ecom brands, supplement brands. So the prompt was specific for supplement brands and using proven templates that he did spend a lot of money and he generated a lot of revenue for that specific industry, and same for other industries. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. Like if you're going to go, in the coaching space, if you don't have the data of what kind of worked in your account, I would look at other people's ad accounts, people that in the space are spending high amounts, and I would look at ads that have been spending the longest, and I would just copy their headline and put that into your prompt. Just steal people's headlines as like inspiration, because this might not work in a different industry, but what's working in one industry, you got to pull from the top people there, and then you build your own prompt. Cool. Liam, how do you want to share those videos?
I can just share my screen and give a little preface before I start doing that.
Cool, go for it.
Cool. Can you guys all see this?
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, so before I share the video, this is the premiere view. So what I did here is I went into the ad library, downloaded some ads there. I went on TikTok, Instagram, really anything I could find a mention of this product. Here, how I like to kind of organize this, if you ever have edited in Premiere, this might look familiar to you, but I like to make all my like talking points blue. So these are kind of like the influencer videos, just like the dialogue that I'll be playing with. And then over here, you can see green is the B-roll. There was a lot of B-roll kind of giving it that it's like elevated, elegant kind of feel. Yeah. So the talking points were more on kind of how the look of the jewelry box and its benefits. So I had to get a little creative when it came to functionality, which I'll explain in a second. But can you guys see this Google Doc? Is that showing, Phil?
Yep.
Cool. So yeah, as Phil was doing that, did a little pre-planning before to familiarize myself with the product. Here we have the age range and target audience he was kind of talking about. And then the messaging here kind of went with like timeless elegance meets functionality. So I took all these talking points and categorized them as like Phil was talking about, with the function, the benefit, and then the materials of the product. And here I then decided which talking points I wanted to focus on, because as I've kind of discovered, you never want to keep your narrative too broad, because then your viewer never really knows what you're focusing on. So I decided I wanted to go with kind of elegant organization, focusing on how there's like 8 storage compartments, and getting into what Phil was talking about how it's like easy to access the jewelry, making it for like an easier morning routine. I wanted to focus on the interior and how it's like made of leather. And yeah, So then I took this down here, kind of just titled my concept. That just sometimes helps me like narrow down what I want to focus on. And the body, these are the talking points I was trying to focus on, which is just keep all your jewelry in one place, designed for quick jewelry selection, the leather interior. And then this was kind of just an additional talking point. Just it looks great in your room. That's kind of like the sprinkle on top of the sundae, you could say. But what I was missing is a talking point about the leather interior. There was not many things that focused on, I guess, the functionality. So what I used is I leveraged this AI service. This is a free service called PlayHT. And basically you can type in whatever you want. You can choose a voice here, female, American, English. And then here you can kind of play with the intensity and stability. So for example, I just had this jewelry box has a leather interior with 8 compartments.
This jewelry box has a leather interior with 8 compartments.
It's not perfect, but were you able to hear that, by the way?
Yep.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, so it's not perfect, but when you're in a pinch and you need a talking point, it helps. I try not to use it too much, but it does help every now and then. Yeah, I'll go ahead and show these videos now. Here's the first concept.
This is the one-of-a-kind art decoration-inspired jewelry box which stores all of your beautiful jewelry.
The interior design is perfect for keeping my jewelry organized and clean. Nothing gets tangled anymore.
The box is designed with an elegant leather interior that houses 8 storage compartments.
Makes it super easy to find everything I need. Plus, it adds such a cute vibe to my room decor.
Shop this stunning jewelry box at Amai Amara.
That was a concept. Hope you enjoyed. I made 2 different hooks also for this. We call these iterations. We usually will give these to the client and they'll run them all at once and we'll just see what kind of performs the best. That first one was more of like, I guess, a visual grab. Kind of just wanted to like show the product in a stylistic manner. Here, this is more of a, I guess, a call out.
Desperately been looking for the perfect jewelry box. This is the one-of-a-kind art decoration.
So that immediately just calls out like this is a jewelry box. Immediately familiarizes viewers with the product they're about to see. And then this one also.
Who knew a stylish jewelry box would bring me so much joy?
This is the one-of-a-kind art decoration.
So again, kind of identifying the product immediately. Yeah, I guess before I kind of jump in to the narrative and like why I chose what I chose, are there any questions?
So you've separated all the audio from the video clips and then just treating them independently, essentially.
Yes, essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like right here, I have the builder pulled up. So what I would do is take something like, I really liked this shot. There was no talking point associated. So I just took one of the influencer clips right here and pulled, kind of just identifying the product. Like this is the one-of-a-kind art decoration inspired jewelry box. Yeah, immediately at the beginning of a video, I like to identify the product within like the first 6 seconds. So the hook can build some intrigue, but then I always like to introduce the product immediately at the intro. And yeah, I guess I'll get more into my decision making. So I know it was said that the cream box was kind of the best seller. So I wanted to make sure that was like kind of shown immediately. And then to like kind of have that elevated feel, I just wanted to leverage a lot of shots of like kind of what Phil was talking about, like the massage of the brain of this like
Stores all of your beautiful
low
jewelry.
pull out right here, just leveraging that a lot. Showing, I know there was some talk about doing a video with no people and just showing the product only. I wanted it to have like a bit of a human element, kind of like when, if you've ever seen those like influencer, like day in the life videos, I think they create like a sense of like a fear of missing out almost. This kind of shows that person like in that element using the product. I think that creates like kind of a connection between the viewer and the ad. But as for the narrative, I'll kind of walk through like why the talking points I chose. So right here we have like a product introduction.
This is the one-of-a-kind art decoration inspired jewelry box which stores all of your beautiful jewelry.
So right there, we immediately know this is a jewelry box, have a visual of like how this is being used.
Perfect for keeping my jewelry organized and clean. Nothing gets tangled anymore.
So then I wanted to follow up like, okay, why is this kind of necessary? And that's it's just like perfect for keeping your jewelry organized. And then that's followed up by an additional benefit, which I know we were talking about, which is you might buy this so your jewelry doesn't rust or doesn't get tangled. So we have her saying that right
It's
here.
perfect for keeping my jewelry organized and clean. Nothing gets tangled anymore.
The box is designed with an elegant leather interior that houses 8 storage compartments.
So that was the AI there. That was the one use of it I had. I never want to focus too much on the product function because people might not really care. But when it comes to something like this, an immediate question I might have is like, how much space do I have? What can I fit in here? And then you can also couple that with, I kind of went with this visual here. I think this green and pink is just like a really nice contrast to kind of like show the product off.
Elegant leather interior that houses 8 storage compartments.
Makes it super easy to find everything I need. Plus, it adds such a cute vibe to my room decor.
Shop.
So there, I guess the way to think about talking points is here we have like we set up that there are 8 storage compartments. I immediately like to follow a talking point that's about a function with a benefit. So like what would the benefit of that be? It makes it easier for people to get ready in the morning. They can kind of just like go to the jewelry box, easily find what they need and get their day going. And then right here, I just included, this was just like a small talking point about how it looks in your room. If you're going to have this, like you want to make sure it, I guess, creates a nice aesthetic.
Plus, it adds such a cute vibe to my room decor.
Shop this stunning jewelry box at Amara.
And then, yeah, we just had the CTA there. And then we usually always like to end it with like a logo banner to just kind of remind people of the product. But yeah, I guess before I jump into, I just have some notes on the content as a whole and maybe like what could be better. Yeah, a chance for any questions. All right, if not, I will go straight into this. So my main takeaways for the content is they're very strong visuals. Like there's a very good aesthetic here about kind of like creating that elevated feel. But and I think visuals are definitely like a priority when it comes to glamorous products like this. Like that's mainly what people on TikTok and Instagram are going to be paying attention to. But you also want good talking points to kind of frame your target audience. And what I mean by that is something like with the hooks. I wasn't super proud of the hooks I was able to craft because I don't think they were necessarily the most targeted. But one way you could do that with certain talking points is creating like a problem solution oriented approach. So you could have an influencer have like a product shot of them messing with their jewelry and there's a bunch of tangled chains and they couple that with a talking point that calls out like, are you sick of your tangled jewelry? That immediately creates a problem. And then the solution would be shown in the intro, which is the jewelry box. Or like Phil was saying, competitor comparisons, just identifying how other boxes can like cause rust and damage. But this one doesn't. And then also for things like, I know there was like a lifetime warranty thing I saw on the website here, and there was like a bunch of different colors. I wasn't able to find talking points to emphasize that, or things like durability, how this is like a very long lasting product. You just want to make sure that I guess when you're making ads for your product, that the most important talking points or most important features are kind of expressed in the ad is what my mentality usually is with that. But yeah, if talking points are lacking, something you can do is also just leverage your visuals and kind of create a narrative that's just based on text pop-ups, just bringing attention to like product details and benefits. I see those do pretty well. But yeah, I'm going to dive into kind of what I think you could do with this content or when you get more content, the kind of angles you could pursue. I know we were saying that I think it was a future iteration of this box is more for travel. So something you could do there is kind of have influencers create videos centered around just traveling with the product, how easily it fits into your suitcase. I know when I travel, whenever I bring jewelry, I just kind of shove it into my backpack, and a lot of the time I lose it or it gets damaged. With this, you could use that to kind of create a problem, and then there's an immediate solution. This is like a great travel companion. Another thing that we practice a lot in a lot of our products that are kind of oriented towards gifting would just be like a gifting angle. An approach you could do for this is incentivizing your customers to create videos of them, like boyfriends gifting this box to their girlfriends. You could incentivize it by like saying they receive a future discount for submitting UGC. I guess the main thing there is you really want to get that what we call the aha moment, which is kind of when someone's unboxing the product and they give like a very genuine reaction that we always see performs very well. And then I just think gifting videos just demonstrate a lot of authenticity. There's obviously through the reaction, you can really tell when a reaction is scripted or it's authentic, I feel like. And they also build investment, which leads to a better thumb stop rate. You kind of start the narrative maybe with the boyfriend saying what he's going to give to his girlfriend. Viewer is now invested to see the reaction and kind of also find out more about the product. So that's one I really like to hammer. And yeah, in the daily routine, that was kind of interweaved in this narrative, but I think you could target that even more. You just want to make the product, you want to create an experience kind of with like those influencer, like day in the life videos. They're like showing the routine, maybe they're using certain products. The viewer now wants to, I guess, live the life of that influencer, the person on the screen. And now they'll see that the box is kind of what makes that experience. So you just show people like choosing their jewelry, how they feel elevated, how easy it is just to select things. And then, yeah, people just kind of like want to see themselves in the video, kind of creates this fear of missing out. But yeah, that is all I have on that. I'll stop sharing my screen so I can see people and answer some more questions, hopefully.
Yeah, well, that was a lot. Good job, Liam. Any questions or like thoughts on that?
No, just
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome
sorry.
job. Go on.
Thank you. No, actually, I think that was super insightful, Liam. I think you did a great job. I think what's at least what the biggest highlight for me was that you're able to combine that aesthetic piece with mentioning more of the products and the benefits. So I would be really curious to see how such a concept would test against just the more aesthetic videos as well. So yeah, thought that was super interesting.
Glad you liked it.
Yeah, I think narratively the video was strong after the body. I think the hook for sure we'd have to like go back in and just spend a bit more time on just to like craft that. But usually we can put the videos together really fast if you don't focus on the hook, because the hook takes 80% of the time just to figure out how that fits. But narratively, like you can just get a feel for what things should go where. And again, Liam's process is the same where mine is, where he looks at what not to put in versus what to put in. Because you can think of all the clips, like you saw all those blue cuts. He's looking at what not to put in. What should he avoid? And that leaves you with very minimal clips for the angle that you want to go after. If he was going after a travel angle, he's going to disregard clips that he had that he might have worked for this clip. So I'll recap this because I think it's a lot of just like things thrown in between like his side and my side, and like how did we come up to this and how did he come up with that, and like yeah, so I'll recap that in the school post so you guys can kind of see the logical structure there. So, and then the Play HD, I'll also link in there how to best use that for you guys, because you can leverage it a ton. I know Sean, in the first call, you had some visuals but no talking points. It would work really well for you. So, and Paco, I know you have like an info, or not info, but like a lead gen offer. Same with you, Lucas, and you can totally use this stuff as well.
You like Play HT over 11 Labs for voiceover, or is it just the difference in the price point?
I think it's just go ahead, Liam.
I guess I kind of was just doing like a quick search to find like a free software. I haven't experimented much with 11 Labs. I like PlayHT for its like custom. I'm not sure what 11 Labs has, but you can customize it a lot in terms of like intensity or how fast the speaker is like saying something. But yeah, I guess I don't have a total clear answer on that.
Okay, yeah, I'll have to, I haven't tried PlayHT, I use 11 Labs a lot. You can clone voices and the voices come out really well. But they have been like banning people for cloning voices or making you do like a voice verification after you make the clones. So I've lost probably 4 or 5 accounts with it already, so I'm like kind of looking for an alternative right now. But so far it's been the best one that I've used.
Awesome. Yeah, I don't think any of our ads have been taken down by this yet, so I would
Oh yeah,
recommend it.
well, not by Meta. It's really just 11 Labs like bans me from using my voice account, and then you just use a new email. It's like Facebook back in the day, you know, just turn and burn. But
Hey, Phil, quick question.
Yep.
So I think the process is getting a lot clearer around getting all the way up to the creative brief. But there's still like a jump from creative brief to producing the ad, right? And I guess you can't just I'm guessing you can't really just have a video editor. Like Liam's process uses a lot of insight from just having seen lots of ads before, right? Like do you find that you have to have a dedicated like experienced ad editor to still take a creative brief and produce something good? Or can you get, or do you have to get the brief better to make it produced? What's the balance there?
that's a great
It's all in the
question.
brief. It's a great question. It's all in the brief. Again, Liam was doing the same thing that I was doing at the exact same time, and he was pulling what I was saying to kind of match it, but it's all in the brief. When you have an editor that can make their own brief, like Liam's no longer an editor, he's a strategist. At the beginning, when he was learning the style, it was just a ton of back and forth of like, no, it has to be more choppy, it has to cut here. If we gave you the same brief, the way you kind of saw it there, you wouldn't be able to edit that way. But when you look in the lens of puzzle pieces and cut should go here, and then this is like you've articulated this idea, kind of how Liam said, when you show this, then you explain that. When you explain that, then you bridge here. That can be articulated, but it should be done in a brief for a non-editor. And that's what I'm trying to solve is how do you turn a non-editor into an editor? How do you create that? Because that's like the missing gap is like just repetition. Like Liam's made, I don't know, 2,000 ads at this point. And the very beginning was just like, we got to go again. We got to go again. We got to go again. But
so you would focus on getting the briefs just absolutely nailed out with every detail, and then you can use a more junior video editor and upskill them over time, essentially.
yeah, the upskilling, Liam, it kind of came with like repetition, right? The more you did, the more you saw, and the more you saw, then you can kind of get the intuition there.
Yeah, for sure. I'd say on, I guess, the side of brief building, it's best to familiarize yourself with the content, like kind of go through, like, let's say you have an hour of UGC, just become very familiar with the talking points, and then try to articulate that as best as you can to the person you want to edit. That is kind of what clicked to me, just like intentionality is just how intentional can you be with the choices you make in your advertising. And then if you can just kind of convey that to someone else, it eventually, I think it'll click for them.
Cool.
What's the
Great question.
what's the length that you try to keep your videos within? Is it under a minute, under 45 seconds? What do you usually shoot for?
Usually always aim for 30 to 45 seconds. If it's, I guess, a narrative that requires more attention, around a minute. I don't think I've ever really made an ad in this style longer than a minute though.
Okay.
Well, one thing I will say, I did promise to do a raffle and I did not follow through on that promise. So I have everyone's name in a wheel, just like a wheel spin. So before everyone leaves, I'd rather we can do that now and then we can continue Q&A. I just don't want to forget that. So one moment. So Mateo, can you just double check if all the names are are in.
Yep. So we got Paco, Sean, Alex. Actually, yep, Alex is still here. Lucas. Yep. Tyler. Yep. Yep. That's it.
Cool, y'all. So we got 2 spins. Tried to make it the most fun possible way. Suspense. Cool, Mark. We got winner number 1.
There we go.
And then we got drum roll. Lucas.
Money.
Nice.
Nice. Cool.
Congratulations.
I'll follow up with you guys after. You can either be like a strategy for like 1 hour, we just kind of like build this out, kind of we've done in previous calls, just like build out the whole workflow, or we can do the end of like what Liam did, where we just do it for you, and we just build it out. So we can figure that out based on what you think would be most valuable to you. So Mark and Lucas, I'll follow up with you guys after.
Awesome, guys.
Way to go, man.
Yes, sir.
That's awesome. Phil and Liam,
Cool.
just a quick question. How did you guys learn about like all the subtle nuances when it comes to ad creatives? Just curious if you guys had like a particular resource, or if you just, you know, learn predominantly from doing, or anything, yeah, in particular.
What do you mean by that question? Like a nuance?
Like the subtle nuances in the actual video, knowing, you know, what, like really when you look at the actual video itself, like how are you able to dissect things so quickly and understand like exactly, you know, how everything was so intentional?
My resource is Phil, so I guess I'll let him answer that.
Sure. So there's usually a pattern with all these kinds of videos. So like sometimes I'll get a folder full of like influencer shots, and you'll have 50 videos of influencers, and they're all saying the exact same script. So to save myself time for the nuances, I know when somebody's about to say this one thing, they're going to say the next thing. And then I can just quickly decipher it that way. When it comes to B-roll, like in this particular case, it's just pattern recognition. Like, what are people doing? What's the behavior? Boxes being opened. Okay, if boxes are being opened and we know the top seller is like the white box, I'm going to ignore everything else that isn't white. And then I can kind of see what has the best shot of what I'm trying to show. This will kind of come to the taste of the editor. Like, is it a top-down shot? Is it like a front view shot? I usually don't get that specific in a creative brief, but it's more so like if I'm trying to articulate a shot with a ring and a necklace inside, I would, that's kind of the nuance where I would go, but I wouldn't go too deep into that. But to answer your question, just exposure to a ton of videos, you start seeing patterns across everything, how influencers talk, how production studios shoot, how billow videos act. Usually when it's like a founder talking head, when does it become something meaningful being said? Like what parts you cut, things like that. One thing that Liam didn't mention in that builder, where you saw maybe like 25 minutes of clips, he would watch that at 2x speed, maybe even scrub through it. Sometimes he'd search the transcription, and we just kind of go through everything very quickly, kind of like speed running through there. But that's a tough question. Never really thought about that. I think it's just repetition. It's kind of like when a media buyer, like, you know, when an ad is like overspending, or when to keep an ad spending when it's not really profitable. Like, you have an intuition, because like a media buyer like won't know how to explain that. Like if a junior person's like, well, why don't you turn this ad off? Like, it looks bad, and you're like, no, just give it 2 days. And the data might not necessarily justify that, but you know, like seasonality and patterns and like historically how it's trending and what will happen in the next 2 days. You can just kind of forecast that. So that's my answer to relate that to media buying, but same thing with editing.
That helps. Thanks.
Maybe on a similar note, like I remember you mentioning using foreplay for kind of just crawling databases of stuff, right? So do you have a very intentional way of using it, or is it just like if you're working on a specific ad account, you might search for something related, or
Yeah, I can show you. So I just kind of separate it by like frames. So like A/B is what I call like a top video and a bottom video. And sometimes, like this is what I was referring to, we can show a product demo and then a product talking. If there's like an idea that I had where I was saying like, oh, I wish we did it like this, I want to build a library of people that have done it well. I'm just looking in the e-commerce space. Here's like a kind of a SaaS product. Like they'll have an A/B grid there. And if I want to see like a green screen video, like who's done that well, I've seen that before. And sometimes when you get inspiration, like I wonder who's done it, I just kind of build to like the board and garbage in, garbage out. The better your inputs, the better your outputs. So the better I can pull here, the better I can just tell Liam like, hey, I want an ad that looks just like this with the grid here, demo on the bottom, create it. And he'll usually stay within my kind of guidelines of what I think, but then he'll over deliver what I thought was possible.
Yeah, but you've got your boards obviously built up, right? So you've built that over time. So in order to get that, would you just be looking at the highest spending, like longest running ads to then slowly build out all of these different categories? Or
yeah, sometimes like you can just be scrolling on Instagram or you see an ad and you're just like inspired by it and you pull it and you make a comment saying, like, I just really liked how maybe you just like how the fact that she was in the center and how it changes here. And you just want to pull a piece, and in order to steal something to be totally original, you pull a bunch of pieces and it becomes your own, you know? And I think a lot of people in the info space, they'll copy influencers and they'll copy how people act and how they talk one-to-one. So they look like copycats. But if you copy pieces of how they act, you become your own original person. And I think that's the way you do it with ads is you pull components from every possible thing, you know? Like you can do this ad and just get inspired by this one little section here or by the foregrid.
yeah, I suppose I got a heap saved to Instagram, but they're literally just saved. Like they're not structured or put with notes against them and put into categories. So when you come to use those, it's hard because they're literally just a big long list.
Yeah, this is something we just started recently doing. Before we had it like this. I mean, it was just like a mess of stuff, you know, you're just like scrolling, you're like, well, why did I put this thing here? You know, but then sometimes you just want to get inspired by like this idea, like how can I recreate that with my existing assets? So
Cool.
Yeah, good questions.
Cool.
That was a lot. I'll recap all this, like I'll make the recording and I'll put all the resources and if there's any questions that weren't answered, these are all great and they give me something to think about too, to kind of give a better answer. So feel free to kind of write out everything. Lucas and Mark, I'll follow up with you guys later today. Anything else? Anything else?
I know, last questions, comments, feedback.
That was gold.
That's great.
Like, yeah, it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Sweet,
That's
thanks.
awesome stuff.
And Tiana, we'll make those edits for you and then I'll send that to you as well, the finished ones.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It's been super insightful.
Sweet.
Awesome.
Cool. Well, on that note,
Nothing else? That's it then. I was gonna say. Phil,
What's the,
Liam, thanks so much, guys.
What's
This
the call
was
to action? Yeah, where do we find you?
I mean, you can find us in the school community. Creativelaunch.io. That's kind of our website. You can book a call, demo, we can talk more. Always happy to help out though. So I'm in the community. Just like jamming with you guys. High caliber media buyers is my jam. So
Awesome. Appreciate it.
cool. Thanks, guys.
Awesome.
Much
Thanks for letting
appreciate it.
us talk at you.
Nice.
Cheers, everybody.
Ciao, ciao.